Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Since July of 2021, Jake and his friends have interviewed professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and many more. Who will they be chatting with in this week's interview? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. I'm one of your co-hosts, Chris Bixby. With me today, as always, our other co-host, Matt Bingel, and of course, our host, Jake Deffinbaugh. How are you both?
Good. Doing good, Chris. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Doing great, Chris.
Anyway, so today our guest is an actor and voice actor who many will know as the voice of Chaz, Drew, and Boris in the original Rugrats series. He's also done some work on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Darkwing Duck, a number of Scooby-Doo projects, and some on-camera things as well. And here he is, Michael Bell. Michael, happy to have you here.
Oh, listen, thank you for inviting me, guys. This is cool.
Awesome.
Where are you guys emanating from? What state?
I am in Massachusetts, and Matt,
I'm sorry, Massachusetts. I got that. Where else?
I live in Maryland.
Jakey and I live in Maryland.
Okay.
Yep.
And what prison is there?
We've got quite a few. Depends on the area.
Yeah.
So, what's happening, guys? What do you want to know about my life?
Well, I guess to start off here, we know who you are, and Chris kind of did. In your own words, would you care to introduce yourself?
Sure. Michael Bell. 60 years working, still dubbing for Netflix right now for foreign films. And you got my IMDb. I'm not sure there's much time for me to go over all that stuff.
So what was your background like, and how did you grow up?
I was born in Brooklyn, which is why I'm Brooklyn boy Mike. And background was born in Brighton Beach, Coney Island Hospital, and lived in Brooklyn for my formidable years, and then moved on to the High School of Performing Arts in Manhattan, finished there, moved to California, and knocked around until I was in my 30s, and I didn't really take off from my career until I was in my 30s. First film I did was, actually, I probably was a little earlier than my 30s. The first film I did was a thing called Damaged Goods, and in this film, it's an underground film now. It's a terrible film, 16 millimeters, and I become a victim of getting the clap.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Awesome. So can you talk about how you were first inspired to get into voiceover?
Well, I was an on-camera actor, and I had done a lot of theater, and I met a sensational lady, wonderful voiceover lady named Joey Gerber, and we eventually went together. And she said, "You do all these characters, and you're doing television. You're under contract to Universal. I was under contract to Universal Studios." And she said, "And you're not going to play the roles you want to play. You're just going to be playing bad guys all the time." I wasn't good looking enough to play the hero, so I was playing the heavies all the time. So she said, "You should, talk to my agents," which I did. And they said, "Wow, yeah, let's just give you a shot." And I recorded some voices, and they sent me out, and I started to work in voiceovers and continued to do on camera, and then slowly phased out my on camera career because voiceovers were far more remunerative. And I had the great opportunity to play a lot of different characters. I played everything from trolls to witches to warlocks to heroes to everything I could never do on camera. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So before getting into voice acting professionally, did you have any favorite cartoons you had watched prior?
Yeah, well, I would, like everybody else, I grew up with Bugs Bunny and all those great cartoons and Mickey Mouse, and I grew up with all that stuff. As far as animated stuff, my favorite characters in comic books, I believe, was Captain Marvel and Plastic Man, my two favorite characters.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Eventually got to do the voice of Plastic Man, which was really a treat.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So, do you remember what your first voice role was?
I think, God, I mean, I did commercials. Did the voice of Butter for Parquet. You're all too young to remember that. As a little character going, Butter, Parquet. It was really successful. And I guess for animation, it might have been Oliver Twist and the Artful Dodger for Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, nice, nice. I've seen a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, of course, one of your most known voice acting roles, and probably one of your longest, is voicing the characters Chaz, Drew, and Boris in the original Rugrats series. What was the process, like the audition process like for that?
Well, they said we'd like you to read for this, and I said that can I hear what Chucky sounds like? Just because we didn't meet each other. I didn't know Chris at the time, and I went in and they played her character voice, and it was that kind of nasally thing that she did to the little Chucky, and I went, oh. I'm going to do the same thing. It'll be an inherited trait. Maybe the father had adenoidal, so pass it on to his kids. So I wound up doing that. They went, oh, that's good. And so they bought it. And then eventually they said, we'd like you to play Grandpa Boris, who's the Jewish grandpa. And I said, well, that's a kick. And I drew that from my Jewish grandpa and my Jewish grandmother from both sides of the family. And then they said, you're going to do Angelica's dad, Drew. And that was just my voice. And then before you know it, I was doing all these visiting characters as well as my voice, Mr. Mucklehoney, French this, and Italian this. And it was kind of great fun that first year. I was doing all those characters. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
Awesome.
Rugrats is definitely a show that I grew up with a lot.
You grew up? You look like about 12 years old.
Well, I think when I started watching was kind of like more towards like the end, I guess, when characters like Kimmy and
Yeah,
became, yeah.
the little girl. Yeah, she's a lovely little actress. She's blind,
Yeah, that's right.
She's a lovely
Yes.
little actress, and that was cool. So you've seen the movies as well, I take it.
Yes. Oh yeah. Love the
Good. Yeah.
movies.
Good movies. It's so interesting. I have a next door neighbor who has a little kid, and as a gift, I got them the Rugrats for the first year, and they
Oh, cool.
never bothered to watch it. Never watched it. I said, "Did you play it for your kids?" No. Yeah. Okay, fine. But I thought what a great show.
Definitely.
Oh, yes. So, I'm kind of curious. Do you have any favorite episodes of Rugrats?
Yes, the Mother's Day special.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Yes.
that was beautifully written. All the shows were beautifully written, but that was really beautifully written because it was about me. I mean, I had an opportunity to really, really have a good time and really work at it as an actor because the show is so well written and so moving. It was far more dramatic the first time they wrote it, and they said it was too much of a tearjerker because it was really well done. But even when they adjusted it, it was still a tearjerker. I know, having finished reading it, I was by myself. And I would look through the booth when I finished. I looked up after explaining to Chucky why his mother wasn't around and why the sun was her and the stars, etc. And I looked up, and everybody in the booth, including the engineers, were crying.
Oh,
It was really cool.
Oh,
yeah. It's a very special episode. I remember that one
It
very
is.
well.
I think they even attributed it to my mom. I said, "Could you to roses?" That was really kind of cool. I enjoyed that.
Oh,
oh.
oh.
Anything else? Is that it? Nice talking to you guys.
No.
No.
Jeff, what is all that stuff in the back? You got all those weights and what's going on? What?
Yeah, it's been in this room for kind of like not for kind of like a like a bed, and this room I'm here is it's a basement, so it's kind of
Are you using that equipment?
yeah.
Okay, good. Good. All right. Just want to know. Make sure you're not sitting on your ass. Okay, what's cooking? What else we got going?
So besides, this is a really interesting question. Besides your own characters, do you have a favorite Rugrats character?
I loved doing I love doing Chucky's dad. I mean, that was just my favorite. But I love that one segment where I played a character called Mr. Mucklehoney,
Hmm.
who was a big, boisterous laugh. He could nothing but laugh, and he would laugh no matter what the kid did. And he'd go, "Oh, ho, ho, she tickles." It was such great fun to do that, and it was. I always say I challenge when they started getting celebrities to come in to play
Oh
with us,
yeah, yeah.
celebrities to do what we did. Those of us who do voiceovers challenge them to play different characters with separation to kind of energy that we put into it. They just do themselves. They just do their voices. So
Yeah.
Definitely. So that kind of gives me a question. Who are some of your favorite celebrity guests that have been on?
didn't have any. Didn't have
Uh,
any. You know, I'm not a big fan of celebrity guests because I think it takes the work away from the actors that really need the money and
mm.
really need to work. And the celebrity guests were, I know they said to me when we did the movie, I think the third movie, I was the voice of Spike the dog in the movie in a TV series as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
In
Oh.
the movie, they brought in Bruce Willis to do Spike the dog. So they made a big huzzah about it, big dramatic thing about it. And they came and they interviewed all the members of the cast. And of course, everybody sucked up and said, "Oh, he was really wonderful." And they didn't even meet him. You know, he was wonderful and he was pleasant and he was this. And she came over to me and said, "Well, how did that feel?" I said, "I never met him. What did we need him for?" And the reporter said, "What?" And I said, "Why did we need a celebrity to do another voice? We had some wonderful actors out there. Anybody could have done Spike. Why did you need Bruce Willis? Kids don't know who Bruce Willis is. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money. So don't ask me." And of course, they didn't quote anything I said. I have
Of
any.
course not.
That's
Uh,
crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So, what was it like recording for the Rugrats movies?
It was fun because we got to, a lot of times we got to do it together. Most of the time we were by ourselves, but a lot of times we did manage to get to work together, which was great fun. My
Nice.
favorite line, I think, was which they gave to me. Which I was pleased with. Was called, "We're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger boat." That was that. I said, "Oh, I got that line. I got the Roy Scheider line. How cool is that? What fun!" Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
I'd
that's
say
that's
Classic
awesome.
line.
I'd say out of the three, my favorite of the three Rugrats movies would probably be Rugrats in Paris.
Yeah, that was a
That's
cool
my
movie.
favorite.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
had Suzanne Susan Sarandon
Mhm.
played the evil whatever European woman, the French woman. She's a marvelous actress, but she didn't have control of the French dialect, so they had to bring somebody in to work with her on it. And at
Oh,
one
okay.
point,
Huh.
she was there was recording at New York, where she was at the time, and she said, "Who am I talking to in this?" They said, "You're talking to the character who plays Chaz." And she says, "Well, where is he? Where's the actor?" They said, "He's in Hollywood. We'll bring him out here. I want to work with the actor." "Thank you, Suzanne." So they called me up. "So we want you to be in New York." And I said, "Okay, I'm taking my wife and daughter too. You pay for that." They said, "Okay." So I went and we stayed in New York and got to work with Susan Sarandon, which was kind of nice. That was great fun.
Nice.
Good
Nice.
show. It's a
Yeah.
funny series.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All the Rugrats movies they're amazing, and it's kind of, I mean, since we mentioned in Paris, it's pretty pretty crazy that Chaz is kind of like the main like plot point for that specific movie,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Yeah, it was cool. It was
pretty
great fun.
cool.
Really
Oh
great
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. For
Nice.
sure. So I'm kind of curious. I kind of probably all the Rugrats fans are probably kind of wondering about this, but can you still do the Chaz, Drew, and Boris voices?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, listen. My ass is dropped, but my voice is pretty much the same. So
Wow.
he sounded like that. Does sound. And Grandpa Boris was over here. You're a nice kid, but you got too much hair.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um,
That's wonderful.
oh wow.
Sounds like somebody might need to go bald soon if he's got too much hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So there was also a spin-off series to Rugrats, All Grown Up, which is that's a unique spin-off, I had to be honest. It was very unique seeing the little tiny Rugrats all grown up.
Yeah.
literally.
I thought that was a foolish move because it didn't have the kind of charm that the kids had as little ones. Even the cast members we looked at the scripts and they're talented people, the writers. We just said, why deviate from that? I understand wanting to move ahead, but why deviate from something it's already working? If it's working, why change it under the circumstances? It didn't make sense. We weren't growing any older on screen. I mean, these animated characters. It wasn't you have to say, oh my God, we have recast because everybody's outgrown their roles. I mean, we all sounded the same. So just keep it going. And
Yeah.
and when they decided to do it again years later, because they have the new Rugrats.
Right.
I kept communicating with the producers saying, guys, I hope when you bring it back, you use the original cast, meaning me.
Yeah.
And you ought to call it the Lost Rugrats tapes, the children's tapes, and you can start a whole series. They didn't buy it, and they went ahead and they got celebrities, and I wasn't doing it, so of course I wasn't thrilled. So.
Yeah, that's kind of like a lot of reboots on now. But
Yeah.
I personally am not really too big on reboots on now because, like, I mean, you talk the originals are classics.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why bother? Why bother with a reboot when you got the classics on?
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't think it did well. Even when we did the Smurfs, they did the movies and they said, we're not going to be using the original people. They're going to use celebrities. And there's these stars, and they didn't do any of the Smurf voices because they couldn't. They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But the fans, they don't care about the fans. I mean, as far as they're concerned, they're going to make money predicated on the success of the originals.
Yeah.
Go and see it. Say, oh yeah, I love Transformers, but none of the originals were going to be doing it. So, whatever. It's business.
Yeah. So now over Rugrats' run, the show won over 20 awards, including a bunch of Kids' Choice Awards. How does it feel that Rugrats has become so successful and that its legacy still lives on to this day?
I love it. I think it's great. In fact, I have an Emmy certificate on my wall. I won an Emmy for something. What is it for? Michael Bell Daytime Emmy Award, etc. They tried to get me a singular Emmy Award. This was, I think, for group, but it says Michael Bell on it, so maybe it's just mine. But they tried to, but at that time they weren't giving singular Emmy Awards for individuals, even though I was submitted for it. And then next year, then they went ahead and started to do daytime programming, single awards, etc. I know because I directed Peter Pan with Tim Curry as Captain Hook, and he won
nice.
daytime as Captain Hook. Yeah.
Oh, Tim Curry's wonderful.
Oh, he was really super. He was crazy and fun and wonderful. I had a huge cast that I was directing. That was great because they were all in one room. We were in one studio. So I had the kids and I had the senior actors, all actors I'd worked with who were wonderful voice actors, and Tim Curry as Captain Hook.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So, moving on from the Rugrats franchise, you've also lent your voice to various characters on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Yeah, we're going way back on this one, folks. We are going back.
Now, who's your audience? Is your audience strictly Rugrats fans? Or are they G.I. Joe? Are they Transformers? Are they Smurfs? What are they? Everything? What?
We have a lot of
everything.
Yeah, we have a lot of animation fans.
Kind of a combination of everything.
And we've had a number of other like voiceover people on. Like recently, we spoke to Debbie Derryberry.
I directed Derry. She was my Tinkerbell.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So we've had Mark DiCarlo on, Phil Proctor.
Brian Cummings.
Brian Cummings. Bill Proctor.
I know Phil, he was in Rugrats, yeah.
Nice, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
So yeah, what was it like working on G.I. Joe?
It was cool. We were all in one room. There must have been about 20 of us in one room. That's when we were all working together and sharing microphones. I'm surprised, but if COVID was around at that time, we all would have been dead because we were in a tiny little room, breathing each other's breath. People sometimes lying on the floor because we were there for 8 hours with a break. It was grueling, fun, and we did what 80 of them or something. We did a ton of them. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was great fun.
Nice. Nice. So now over on to Disney. One of your most known voice roles with them was voicing Quackerjack in Darkwing Duck. Can you can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That was interesting enough when we read for them. I think Dan Castellaneta was on my right, and Michael was on his right, and all of us were being doled out the roles. And I was preparing to do Quackerjack is kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Kirk Douglas.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, his voice, so he cracked his voice, etc. when he talked. And I thought, well, that's what I'm going to use for Quackerjack. But Dan was before me with his character. That's what he used. And I thought, shit, I got to come up with something. So I prepared and I came up with, with the, the whole big thing that Quackerjack does. And that's part of the business, is that you don't know, you may have something prepared and the person before you may have the same kind of character prepared, and you better come up with something else. So it was great fun. We enjoyed it. It was really a gas. It was a good show.
Nice. I'm glad all the
Awesome.
episodes of it are streaming on Disney Plus too.
Yes,
Definitely.
it's great.
Yep, I haven't seen any residuals, but that's Disney, so
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So you also worked on a number of Scooby-Doo projects. Can you talk a bit about working on those?
sure. That was kind of fun because I got to guest on those. I got to play interesting characters. I think I did one where I was a Scottish character. I think Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Love
That
that
was
one.
great fun. Yeah, and I beat out a friend of mine who is Scott, a wonderful actor. He's Scottish, and he said, "You beat me out with a Scottish dialect." I said, "Hey, you got it, you got it." It was great fun. That was really cool. All of these are fun to do because it's acting. You're getting to do the things that you want to do in your life. Now, each of you guys, what's the plan for each of you guys? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I'm curious because you're doing this, but like, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, I mean, I'd personally like to get into radio professionally
Mm-hmm.
and work for that. I'm also a big like computer kind of nerd, I guess you could say. So I like computer science, graphic design, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I see myself doing. Yeah, and I know Matt has you know, really enjoyed, puppetry.
Yeah, I've been doing that for the last almost 3 years now, and I do see myself doing that. But if that doesn't work, I planning going into accounting. I can't tell you how many people have asked me when I tell people, because I'm about to graduate with my associate's degree soon in accounting. And I can't tell you how many people have asked me, like, when I tell them I'm an accountant, can you do my taxes? I can't tell you how many people have asked me that question.
Well, they're not going to say, "Can you do my puppets?" So of course,
No.
now, do you make your own puppets?
I'm starting to. I'm starting to build my own.
And you plan to do a film of any kind with puppets, like something like Stop?
Um, Maybe I've been wanting to get back to doing some short films.
Right.
But a full length, maybe if all works out, it's a possibility.
Would you be settling if you get into accounting? Is that something that would really make you really jazz you up, really excite you?
Possibly, I think so.
No kidding.
Again, if all goes well.
So radically different. That's so interesting from puppetry, which is hard but creative, and then
Oh
accounting.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Accounting is creative. I don't know. Math and I never got along. So
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh my gosh.
Most people
Math
told
is
me that.
just-
no, but that's your bag. That's cool. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm also into puppetry as well, and I have I actually do have a YouTube channel for monster that I have just for like account for start off, just have like a short length like videos or something just for start off, and then later on, I might gonna start, do like a, I guess probably like starting as like a series and then or mini series or something like that. So yeah, it's a
Come up
puppetry
with your own
is great.
characters. You come up with your own characters, your own stories. What about voice?
Yeah,
What would you do about voices?
yeah. I kind of yeah. I have a monster of mine. He's like a little um green monster of mine. His name is Bean, and yeah, I of course I do the voice for him, and he's he's something.
Well, you have to have more
he's
than one
great.
character. What happens with all the other characters?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, let me
Yep.
suggest to you, if you go on YouTube, you go Michael Bell Voice Animation Seminar or Michael Bell Voice Animation Class. I'm not sure how they have it, but I teach
Right.
it for an hour and a half and it's free. And you just go on YouTube and it tells you how to create characters for animation. You're
Oh,
probably the same
nice.
characters you'd use for
Wow.
poetry. You know, these are levels of voice, where you would reach for these characters, how you would get these characters, how you create these characters, etc.
Mhm.
Huh.
So it's on YouTube and it's under Michael Bell Voice Animation Class or Seminar or something. So that's
Nice.
helpful. Yeah, well,
Awesome.
that sounds good. Very good, guys. Good, a nice
Yeah.
got a career that you're not going to be serial killers. That's all that counts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
What else? What do you want to know?
So you were kind of touching up on this. Aside from a voice actor, you're also a voiceover teacher
Mhm.
as well as a voiceover coach.
Mhm. I
What's
teach Japanese students as well.
Oh, wow,
that's
nice.
cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, they fly. I've been doing that for
Amazing.
years. They fly in from Osaka and Tokyo, etc. They're probably first year of college and about sometimes anywhere from 35 to 90 at a time with an interpreter. So teaching voice animation. So you're going to ask me something, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask what that was like. So in terms of the Japanese, they have an interpreter, right? So they ask them, say teach them. So the interpreter teaches them English. You teach them like voices,
No,
right?
they don't teach them English. They will. Some of them tried. Some of the kids are basically English. It's pretty good. But the majority strictly Japanese. So I have to get a tone when they read a script that I submit to them. I have to listen to it, and if I listen to it enough, I can tell whether they're being honest in terms of the creation of this character. So interestingly, Japanese males. I don't know if you're familiar with Japanese films, but they're the Japanese like Toshiro Mifune. He's everything's very big. So if you get a line that
Yeah.
says "Stand back, you're in big trouble," instead of them finessing it and figuring out how close are they to the character, they'd go, "Shunada, you go, wait, guys, what are you yelling for? And I would hear that and I would tell them to finesse it. I would say, how close are you to the character? If you're a distance, yeah. If you're talking to a group of people, it's different. But if they're this here, you don't have to be that loud because that's the Japanese way. It's really interesting. Is that big sound? It's so funny, and they laugh differently. Women, when they laugh, the women cover their mouth. And if your microphone is here, what you going to? So I have to train that way. So it's really interesting teaching them voice animation, how to create characters, how to act in front of a microphone, while at the same time um, creating that character, but making it more viable so it doesn't fall into just a lot of shouting and yelling. It's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Nice.
Awesome. So in the past, you've done a number of on-camera acting roles as well. Do you have any favorite on-camera acting projects you were in?
Probably Star Trek. I would suspect the Next Generation when I did Grappler Zorn, because it was a chance to do something I wanted to do, and MASH, which was a good role for me. Guest star MASH was a good role. I would rather do comedy. I didn't get a chance to do a lot. I did the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but I didn't have anything very funny to do on it. And one or two other shows, but for the most part, most of the stuff I've done was pretty much dramatic, heavy, bad guy, cop, CIA, all that stuff.
So now among the many on-camera acting roles you had was appearing on an episode of the Monkees. What was it like getting to work with them?
That's interesting. I found them really untalented for the most part. I think Mickey, I didn't care for Mickey. I thought they were lucky. I thought they were very lucky. I think that what's his name, the young English kid was good. He had talent. I think he had a nice voice, nice singing voice. But I thought they were just very lucky kids because the original, from what I was told, and I believe it's true, the original albums were not theirs, or the original songs were not theirs. That they didn't sing it; somebody else sang it, and they were trained as they were going along. So they had themselves a product. The company had themselves a product that caught the American public's interest. So they had already moved with them, but they didn't have any particular specific talent that I could see. Eventually, I worked with Mickey, but there's a scene in it when I jump on the guy's back, on Mickey's back, and I'm holding on to him. They really pissed me off personally. So I grabbed him and I bit his ear while we were doing it. He started to scream and they kept filming it. And the director went, whoa, I said, well, that's the character. That's what he would do. So it was really kind of fun. I was hoping to take his ear off, but so I bite his earlobe right off. It wasn't my, but it was an interesting show, and I'm glad to have done it. It was always nice to do a show, so especially a successful show like that.
Oh yeah, definitely,
That's always cool.
definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
So over the years, you've auctioned animation cells and television memorabilia, with all proceeds going to various animal charities. Can you talk a bit about doing that kind of thing?
Well, the terminology has been done and redone and drummed into the ground, but it's a voice for the voiceless. I've got, in fact, there's an award here for Great Pyrenees and an award for something else, and I treasure those. Helping animals. I also started an organization for seniors called the Silver Streakers, where we work with seniors and helping them learn something about improv, how to do improvisational games to get them out of themselves, and that was my interest as well. So between seniors and also had some stuff that I've assisted kids, taught in school, extracurricular, teaching kids about how to be kind to wildlife. In our California, we've got different kinds of wildlife. We have opossums, raccoons, etc. And kids in depressed areas don't really know much about them. So I brought those animals in, skunks, things of that nature, and also taught them about vegetarianism because I'm vegetarian, and taught them the importance of being a vegetarian for the earth, for themselves. So yeah, it's just like anything else. You just give back. You give back, whatever. But we have animals. I've got 3 dogs now and 1
Oh,
cat.
wow.
We've had 6 at one point. We had
Wow.
6 dogs and 3 cats. And my daughter who lives on the property has a Great Pyrenees rescue. They're all rescues. We don't have any purebreds. They're all rescues. Yeah.
Oh, nice,
Mm,
nice.
awesome. Awesome. So overall, working in voiceover, what are some of the key things you've taken or learned the most during your career?
Well, you learn by watching people who you perceive to be better than you. What is it they're doing? What can I learn from them? I've worked with some marvelous actors that wound up doing voices in like the Smurfs or the Snorks, people that had done vaudeville, that were in vaudeville at some point in their career, which of course way before your time, did theater, and you learn from watching them. You gain. When I teach, I teach my students to plagiarize. Don't shade your eyes. That's where God made your eyes. So plagiarize. If somebody has an interesting character quality, whether it's an on camera, whether you're doing an on camera thing or it's a voiceover, copy it. It'll be different coming from you anyway, but that's what you do. So I have a whole list of actors that have qualities, that have interesting qualities vocally, and for my case, obviously, and so they learn how to do something vocally by imitating these actors, these particular characters, or maybe a family member, or watching Jerry Springer, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Those people in Jerry Springer. If you just watch them, you imitate them, you've got a character. So you got
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So now we've talked a lot about your past work. Is there anything you're working on currently that you can share?
No, I just nap a lot. No, I'm just doing I did it. Oh, I dubbed a film which got all kinds of people view a huge viewership for Netflix called Trolls.
Hmm.
And I dubbed Trolls. And the director said, "Where do you take a look at this? This was the most watched Netflix film this past, what is it, month or something." I said, "Great, another part of a big project." But yeah, I dub. You know what dubbing is, do you not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I dub films. I dub European films, and I just did a couple
Wow.
of documentaries for Italy, etc. Which is, it's just work. It's not satisfying as an actor, but it's it's work. It's what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So, working in voiceover, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you faced?
Well, good question. I did a series called Inhumanoids, and in it I played the lead in it, but I also had to play the creature that was attacking the city, and he was like a giant phlegm ball.
Hmm.
It was really disgusting. So, it's just by the end of the session, I was just ready to cough up everything I'd ever eaten since I was 13. It was really ghastly. I did one with I did one where I had to talk underwater, and at that point, I thought,
Oh,
okay. So the director said, "Okay, here's the line, Mike. Get your line." So okay, and I drank some water and tried to talk while I had the water in my throat, but it was choking me and it was gargling, and I wasn't really being clear. You have to be clear. So he gave it. You know who Frank Welker is?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So he said, "Frank, you have a line coming up, and you're underwater too. Why don't you do your line?" I thought, well, fuck Frank. He's not going to do it either. And he went, "Oh, what are we doing now? Oh no, we're really in trouble." And I looked at him. I said, "Why didn't you help me when I was doing it, Frank? Why didn't you suggest that?" And he said, "Because it was so much fun watching you drown."
Oh my Oh
uh,
boy.
So now I teach that. Of course, I learn in the process. If you ever have to do something underwater, it's like, "Oh yeah, what a great idea. Okay, let's go, Uncle Bob."
Uh,
Because
Those
Frank did
ninja.
stand up. So Frank was doing shtick for years. He did stand up. He did,
yeah.
I think he did 69 ducks or something like that, all talking at the same time, which is really funny.
Oh,
He does all. So I used to do all the animal stuff before Frank came into it. Because we did Super Friends, I was Gleek, the blue monkey, besides Zan and the Riddler. So when I did Gleek, I had to do a monkey. So when Frank eventually got recognized and he was doing, whales and dolphins and whatever it was, monkeys and things, he eventually wound up doing dogs and stuff. Although I could do all that, it was just as
Right.
easy to have Frank do that while I was doing the live characters.
mm,
hmm
definitely.
hmm So, what piece of advice would you give to anyone who wants to get into voiceover as a profession?
Be an accountant. Study acting. Train as an actor. Take improvisational classes. Where you guys are located, if you have good acting groups, if anybody's really interested in studying to do voiceover, don't just think in terms of voiceover. Think in terms of being an actor, and then that voiceover comes secondary. Most of us, the majority of us, I should say, if not all of us, are actors first. Vanessa Marshall is an actress first. Tara is an actress. Kasusi is an actress. They all started out as actors. And eventually, because financially it's much more remunerative to be a voiceover person, because you do 5 or 6 shows a day. As an actor, you generally get to do one. So
Mm.
unless you're committed, unless you're a Shakespearean actor committed to the stage or committed to a film, you want to look how many film stars are doing voices. I mean, it's just kind of hard to crack the business now because all the big celebrities are doing voices, and they're they're still doing major motion pictures. So I would say study acting, really studying acting.
Definitely. And
Oh, yeah.
and turning the tables, what's the best piece of advice that you've received in those fields?
Well, that's really hard to say. I'm not sure I got any advice. I had to, I think learning to remember names of people that I worked with. Learning the names because I would work with something, and then a couple of weeks later I would run into somebody and they say, "That was a great show, wasn't it?" I say, "Yeah, that was." And boy, you really did a super job. Well, thank you. And I don't know what to say to them because I don't know who the hell it is. And it turned out that was the guy who directed me 2 weeks before, because once he finished, I'd screw him. Who remembers who that was? I think remember people who they are. I think if I look back, I think I would probably have to say, I better write that down and remember who that was I worked with, because I may have to work with them again or meet them on a private level. I don't want to have to go, "Oh, hi, what a pleasure. Nice to see you," and walk away and go, "What the fuck was that?"
Definitely.
Yeah. So, are there any words would you like to say to those who watching or listening have been supporting your work over the years?
Oh, thanks. I gotta say thanks. Listen, I'm there because of the fans. If people weren't interested in my work, I probably wouldn't have succeeded as much as I did, because the business is very flighty. You're a big star today, and the following day, nobody knows who the hell you are. So I think it's the fans that kept me alive. In fact, it's so interesting that I just got notification. They just did an action figure with my face, a G.I. Joe action figure, but they wanted
Huh.
my face. And I had to send a photograph of what I look like.
Huh.
And they're coming out with the action figure. So make sure you buy the action figure with my face. And I don't know if
Wow.
it's anatomically correct, but that's up to you.
Mean to be seen. That's really cool, though. That is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really nice. It's
sure.
fun. And I do a lot of cons. Have you guys ever gone to
Nice.
cons, Comic Cons?
Yes, I
Yeah,
actually
Jake
do.
just did, yeah.
I haven't yet, but I hope to do one before the end of the year.
Same.
You should. It's really great fun.
Oh my gosh,
I've
it's yes, for
I've heard a
sure.
lot of great things about cons.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
the cosplays are great. I love the 300-pound Batman. I think those are great. Guys who dressed up as
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
I think that's so great that they go to that effort, and their outfits are
Yeah.
great. So between the people that do, and then there's the 60-pound Spider-Man. I mean, these kids, literally the tights are hanging on their butts, but they're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of cute,
Yeah, oh my gosh. I have that kind of same story too. Because the convention I went to is the GalaxyCon, which is at Richmond, Virginia, and the reason I was there because there are two puppeteers that was there, which is Kevin Quash, who did Elmo for Sesame Street for almost
Like,
like 30 years, and then Steve Winmeyer, he was basically the second Kermit. Basically, after like Jim Henson, who originally did Kermit, passed away, Steve was the one who took over Kermit, and both Kevin and Steve, they were actually in there like little like autograph like booths, like right next to each other, and I actually did talk to them, and they're really awesome people to meet with. I had to say this, one of the good he's also a great friend of ours. His name is Keelan, and his Big Bird costume that he made is just amazing. That like
oh yeah.
people, even the kids and adults, like come at Big Bird and just give it a hug or take a picture or anything. Like that's just, and I was literally right, and I was literally the person like taking a picture for them because I was like right there. So
Yeah.
his
it's
so cool.
his Big Bird actually won Best in Show
yeah,
last year at GalaxyCon
yeah.
Richmond.
That's how good
I know,
costume
that's
that
cool.
was.
Yeah,
Last year, yeah.
I've seen some extraordinary costumes. A couple guys came as the Transformers, and they were on stilts, and they must have been about 20 feet high, and I mean,
Wow.
What?
Wow.
20
beautifully
That's
done. And
whoa.
then I've seen a guy who was what is it from X-Men, the Wolf character,
Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah.
Now you really had to be built to do Wolverine, and he just came up. He was ripped, and he had the Wolverine. He looked like him. He looked just like him, but really cool. But I always like the ones that aren't looking like that. I like the ones that try to look like that. You get some 90-pound weakling that's dressed up as Wolverine, and I go, "Oh, that's so great that you see yourself like that. That is so cool and so much fun."
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And
Yes,
then
concept, they're great.
then there's the guys that dress up. They'll draw an eye right in the middle of their forehead, and that's their costume. That's their cosplay. I said, well, talk about taking the easy way out. You just could have put an eye over there, and that's it. That's all you're going to do. So people go all out, and they just do nothing. It's really fun. It's really great fun.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's great.
Yeah.
Cons are great.
And the Star Wars people, that's
Oh my gosh.
hey, with the R2D2 and the C3.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, they just go crazy. It's really fun. I think the gal that's green with the hair, the horns that go down, that's great fun. It's great to watch.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Trust me, Matt, you ought to go. You ought to go while they can still have the damn things. Who knows how long these
Oh yeah.
Same. Yeah, I gotta go to one too.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
I definitely plan
You
on
guys
going
should.
to one.
It's great.
They have conventions in Boston sometimes. I know. Well, I know they've started to again at least since
I don't
things
know
are
how
definitely
many
starting to
they
open
I
up
don't
again.
I don't know how many they have in Baltimore anymore. I mean, they have Baltimore Comic Con, but that's a comic book con. Not
Yeah.
like not like, Galaxy Con in Richmond, that kind of thing. But
Right.
Yeah, it's worth it. When I go to the concert, I've had people fly in from England just to meet me, which just surprises me. We flew all the way from England to meet you and get your autograph. I went, "Are you serious?" Yeah.
wow.
It's just so fascinating the
What?
effect that we've had on people's lives. Our characters have had on people, and I understand it because I was at a convention and there was a guy across the way. He had a poster of Bambi. I think you're familiar with the.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
He had a poster of Bambi, and of course that's my era. And I walked over, and he's an older dude, and I said, "So what's your association with Bambi?" And he said, "I was the voice of Bambi." Well, I fell apart. I mean, that's what I grew up with. Was the voice. Oh my
Wow.
God, I grabbed him and I hugged him and his wife, and I said, "Oh my God, you were Bambi." I was so excited. And I thought, well, that's what people do with me. When they come up to meet with me, they said, "Oh my God, you were my childhood." And I was watching in Transformers or G.I. Joe or whatever it was. So I understand it. I understand the attraction.
Yes. Like, especially like for people like just who live like we said, for example, who lives all the way in England just to meet just one person,
Just to fly out all that
like,
way.
Like that's insane.
It's amazing.
I know. It's just that's what I say. And the effect is so interesting because I understand the attraction, but the effect. I was at one where this girl walked by. She stopped. She looked at me. She stopped. She turned back. She looked at me, and then she broke into tears.
Oh.
I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "It's you." And I thought, Jesus, what if she doesn't? What if she thinks I'm somebody else? I feel like a real schmuck. So I said, "Well, who do you think I am?" She said, "You're Michael Bell." Oh my God! And she started to cry. She said, "I gotta go, my brother's gonna come over." And, and then on the other end of the spectrum, there's one guy came by my table and he said, he looked at all the characters I've done, hundreds of characters, and all the photographs. He went, "I don't recognize any of these characters." And I said, "Well, then get the fuck away from my table."
Right? Oh my God.
Then why are you there?
Why are you even at that table? You don't recognize hundreds of characters and you don't know a damn one.
I don't know.
Wait, then why are you even looking at them in the first place?
Get the fuck away from my table. Go bother the $6 million man. Go make his life better.
Right? Just go bother someone else.
Exactly. Oh man.
Seriously.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
I had never thought I'd hear that at a convention story. Because most of the time you got all these amazing people at conventions.
Yeah.
I didn't take that in for a second. Damn.
Like, wow. Like, why?
Wow.
You get
All these characters you've done, didn't recognize a single one.
Yeah, people that have favorites. Yeah, I can understand a favorite.
And that's gonna be
yeah.
I'm a proud fan, but just to say I don't know anybody. What the fuck are you doing here? Get out of here.
Right. Right.
Right. Yeah, literally.
Like I know it's gonna be like so many moments gonna be like that. It'd be like, I don't remember that character.
Like,
okay, then
like maybe like maybe a few you don't know, but
Right, yeah.
Like
Any
all,
of them?
like all of them. You
any
don't
of
know?
them.
My favorite is my friend. You know, who BJ Ward is. She was the voice of Scarlet.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Velma. She was, what is it? Velma on Scooby Doo, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Some fan came over to her and she's standing at the table next to me. And he says to her, he said, "Oh God, I love Velma. Velma's so great. Blah, blah. Could you just do that for me?" So she goes, "Oh, Scooby, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "No, that's not it."
Jeez.
It was so, where does it say critique me on my phone?
Oh my
I want you.
gosh.
I want you to critique my career. Critique me on my career because you know so much more than I do.
Oh boy.
No, that's
Oh
not
my gosh.
that
Oh
great.
man.
I just love it. That's pretty standard.
That is
Yeah.
that's something. Uh Yeah.
Oh wow. But yeah, I will. That's one of my big goals for this year is to at least attend one convention.
You got it.
So that'll definitely
Same here.
happen.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Bring your
Oh, yeah.
camera, bring a video with you. It's great.
Oh
Somebody,
yeah.
yeah, it's really great fun. It's really great fun.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yes.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
I'm not sure if I'll bring my I have an old high 8 movie camera from like 20, I guess 20, maybe 22 years ago.
I got one.
We still have.
I got one. Yeah, sure. Take a picture and film and walk around and you, Chris, because you want to do radio. It's great to go to a convention and set up your own little show like you have now, and interview people. Interview them at the conventions. I've done it. I've done interviews. I mean, when they come over and say, "Can we talk to you?" Sure, and then blah blah blah, and we talk, and then they post them.
Wow.
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 I've seen that. That
Same,
sounds like
yeah.
an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe do like a little bonus episode. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
That'd
Great.
be fun.
Yeah. So you
Cool.
guys,
So
ask you guys, I got a life. What's going on?
Yeah.
if people would like to connect with you, where can people find you?
Michael Bell Voice Animation. I think that's michaelbellvoices.com. I think it is. Michael Bell Voices. I think it's how you guys got in contact with me, wasn't it? Through
Yeah.
michaelbellvoices.com. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
best way. Or you might, I'm sure someone posted my phone number in the men's room somewhere, but other than that, I don't know what to tell you.
And yes, link to your website will be in the description down below for people to connect with you.
Okay,
Yes.
sure, yeah.
And
Yes.
so since we're about to wrap up, the last question that Matt's about to ask is a question that we ask at the end to all of our guests.
Yeah.
Yes, we sure do.
So of course this podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Hey, nice timing. Thanks. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of, or how would you define the word nostalgia?
Nostalgia. Well, thoughts of what we assume to be a better time in our lives, a happier time in our lives. Not necessarily, but that's what
Right.
it was. We feel it was a happier
Yeah.
time in our lives. Is nostalgia. I think that's what it really comes down to. It's ephemeral. I don't know what to say beyond that, but that's what I think it is. Because I'm nostalgic about stuff. If I look back at it now, if I look really close, I go, "Oh, that was awful." But I think it was. I think it was a good time. And if you guys want to know when I'm appearing at a con, you probably go to Celebworks, CELEBWORX. Celebworks are my agents, and they have a lot of super talented people, and they let you know what cons they're going to be at, and they may be a con near you, so you don't have to travel, from England to America.
Yeah.
Something like
Unless you want to, but
Right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
be a great way to stand off.
all right. Well, anyway,
Awesome.
Michael, thank you so much for, taking the time to do this.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure
My pleasure,
doing
guys.
this, Michael. And thank you so much for your time to be a part of our lives and keep up your great work and see what's next for you.
Thanks a lot. You guys take care.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Yes, thank you. You too.
you.
I'll see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, have a great
Bye-bye,
rest of your day.
Michael.
See you, Michael. Take care.
Bye. That was a great chat, but it's goodbye from us as
Yes.
well.
Yes, and look
Yep.
more for fun, more interviews coming up.
Yes, absolutely. And always remember to keep nostalgia alive.
Yes. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye
Take care.
bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show interview. Be sure to follow Jake and the crew on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye bye.